just another nigga known with the strap, man. Don't cap or your ass going cap, man. You never mix business with new friends. Get booked, then cooked by the crack, man. You gon' make a nigga slide with my jacks, man. With a pump that'll leave a nigga flat dead. Put that bitch to his shit and shoot again. Face shots, make a op do a back bend.
We start here at 6 with breaking news. Sources say at least 2 Chicago police officers have been shot within the last hour near 79th and Chapel. This is a live picture from the scene right now. The Chicago Fire Department tells us the suspect was also shot. Since this is a police-involved shooting, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability is investigating. We also have a live picture of the University of Chicago Hospital. This is where both officers were taken. Our sources tell us one officer was shot in the vest, the second was shot in the arm. No official conditions right now for either officer. We will certainly update you with any new information as soon as we get it tonight.
Chicago police say around 5 p.m. near 79th and Chappelle, 2 officers made a traffic stop of a vehicle that Superintendent Larry Snelling described in a news conference as homemade. After that stop, police say the suspect ran away. The 2 officers chased them, eventually catching up to the suspect, leading to a struggle.
During this struggle, the individual reached into a shoulder bag, removed a handgun, and fired a round, striking one of our officers. That same officer returned fire, striking the individual.
CPD says the first officer was shot in the vest, stopping the bullet. Snelling added that while the exchange of fire was happening, the second officer was shot in the arm. The superintendent told reporters it was not yet clear if the suspect shot the second officer or if it came from their fellow officer. The 2 officers were taken to a hospital to recover. The suspect also transported to a hospital in critical condition. Mayor Brandon Johnson calling on people in the city to take steps to ensure the holiday weekend does not turn more violent.
As Chicagoans, we have to look out for one another. As we go into this holiday season, it's especially important that we check in on one another, we put our arms around one another, and we look out for one another.
The superintendent said the 2 officers have been with the department for 4 years. One is 27 and the other is 30 years old. Both are in stable condition and expected to make a full recovery. At the University of Chicago Hospital, Victor Jacobo, CBS News, Chicago.
A man is facing attempted murder charges for shooting 2 Chicago police officers on the south side. Police say on Friday, 34-year-old Malik Wright Sale opened fire after running from a traffic stop near 79th and Chappelle. Both officers and the suspect were wounded in the gunfight. Wright Sale faces 8 charges and has a detention hearing scheduled for tomorrow.
We've learned that 3 people were shot, including 2 Chicago police officers and 1 civilian. But I do want to take a look at the scene here and just really try to give you a good idea how extensive this perimeter is. I'm near 79th and Clyde. This perimeter goes all the way down to 79th and Chappelle, but then it also extends out to Clyde and 81st Street. But if you kind of take a look, if we can zoom in here with my photographer, there's a white Infiniti SUV that's sitting there. That has been something that police officers have been looking at pretty extensively since we've been here. They've actually even extended this perimeter about a block out since our arrival. And so you can just see just how much work they are putting into this investigation. I mean, I've seen at least 30 cops on scene right now, including detectives. We haven't had much more information than that, but we do know that police are at the scene where they were examining a bulletproof vest. And of course, we do know that 2 police officers were taken to University of Chicago Hospital and 1 wounded civilian has been taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. We are expecting to receive an update from police at UFC Hospital later on this evening. And we also have learned that the Civilian Office of Police Accountability is also investigating this matter. But again, we don't have those details of what led up to the shooting nor who all was involved. We're hoping to find those out as we stay here on the scene. We'll keep you posted with more.
Robin, Cheryl, thankfully we can report tonight that these 2 young officers that were involved in this situation are going to be okay. This after a seemingly innocent situation rapidly escalated, underlining just how dangerous it is to be a police officer in Chicago.
This is something that our officers deal with every single day.
Chicago's mayor and top cop after emerging from the University of Chicago Hospital with good news that 2 officers survived being shot today near the 7900 block of South Merrill Avenue. One in the arm who required surgery, the other saved by his bulletproof vest. An off-road type of vehicle was spotted in the aftermath of the violent encounter. The 2 male officers, aged 30 and 27, each have 4 years on the force, just embarking on their careers.
I had the chance to meet with both of the families as well as one of the officers, and they are in good spirits, but as you can imagine, they're pretty devastated and upset.
The alleged perpetrator was also shot and taken to Northwestern Hospital. A relieved mayor asking the people of Chicago to look out for one another as they head into the holiday weekend. Superintendent Snelling, who just announced his retirement, is coming in the next couple of weeks, saying this incident truly does underline how dangerous it is to be a Chicago police officer. And as we go into this holiday weekend, everyone in this city has to be reminded of that danger. Reporting from the South Side and the University of Chicago Hospital, Ravi Baichwal, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
And breaking news, a suspect is now charged with a shooting that injured 2 Chicago police officers. Prosecutors say 34-year-old Malik Wrightsell opened fire while struggling with the officers during a traffic stop Friday on Chicago's South Side. The officers are recovering. Wrightsell was also shot. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The charges against him include attempted first-degree murder.
Let's get to that breaking news story that we've been following. 2 police officers are in the hospital tonight. The city's mayor and top cop pleading for peace this holiday weekend. WGN's Jeremy Ross has more on their message from the University of Chicago Hospital tonight.
Around 5 Friday afternoon, police say officers tried to pull over a modified car or homemade vehicle. A chase followed and eventually gunfire. 2 officers were hit. Chicago's police superintendent Larry Snelling describing how lucky they were, including one hit in the chest or stomach area.
Thank God for his vest that saved his life under these circumstances. That officer is still in the hospital being treated. As you know, it may stop the bullet, but it doesn't stop the impact, and the officer is still seriously hurt, but we'll be fine.
Police say in the South Shore neighborhood of East 79th and Clyde, officers stopped a vehicle. Person inside the car fled and police chased. Officers eventually caught up, and investigators say the person who ran reached inside a shoulder bag and grabbed a gun and shot, hitting the 2 officers. One hit in the arm, went into surgery, and is said to be doing well. The officers described as 30 and 27 years old, both with about 4 years experience on the force. Cops say the shooter was eventually shot and taken to a hospital in critical condition. Overall, city and law enforcement leaders relieved that the violence was not more severe.
The violence has to stop. We have to be better as people. We have to stop trying to resolve our issues and our conflicts with violence and deadly violence. Lives are being lost.
I had the chance to meet with both of the families as well as one of the officers, and they are in good spirits, but as you can imagine, they're pretty devastated and upset.
The officers are expected to be okay. The mayor was asked what people should expect going into the rest of the holiday weekend. He answered, in part, more hard work from police and city personnel. At the University of Chicago Hospital, Jeremy Ross, WGN News.
A man is charged with shooting 2 Chicago police officers on Friday. 34-year-old Malik Wrightsell is due in court tomorrow to face attempted murder charges. Prosecutors say officers tried to stop Wrightsell in a car in the South Shore neighborhood. He's accused of trying to run away and then shooting the 2 officers when they caught up with him. One was shot in his bulletproof vest and the other was hit in the arm. Both officers are expected to recover.
Chicago police say 2 officers and another person were rushed to the hospital following a shooting in Chicago's South Side. This all happened on East 79th Street and South Jeffrey Boulevard around 5 p.m. CPD says officers stopped some sort of homemade vehicle During that stop, the person being investigated ran from officers, leading to a chase. Police say when officers caught up to the suspect, a struggle followed. The suspect then reportedly reached into a shoulder bag and struck one of the officers. That officer fired his weapon, striking the suspect. A second officer was also hit during the encounter. And during a press conference this evening, Superintendent Snelling and Mayor Brandon Johnson talked about the dangers officers face daily.
They've both been on the force for 4 years. One is 30 years old, the other one is 27. They have families, and we just talked to their families. They're very hardworking officers, and regardless of scrutiny or whatever they may face, they continue to go back out and do that work every single day.
I had the chance to speak with one of the officers, one who was just coming out of surgery, and as the superintendent indicated, the results are pretty positive, all things considering, and spoke with his mother, Cervantes, his uncle, and his sister. They're Chicagoans. They work in Chicago. They're, back of the yards, South Side neighborhoods. Officer Williams, his family is deeply tied to Chicago. They're public employees, right? And, I think it's important that the people of Chicago know that these officers, they don't just belong to the city, they belong to people.
Both officers are expected to be okay. The suspect is in critical condition. Superintendent Snelling says one of the officers was wearing a bulletproof vest and that it saved his life.
Yeah, Lauren, good morning. We just got new information from Chicago police on now 2 separate shootings that happened on the same block within 10 minutes of each other. The victims are between 17 and 20 years old. Take a look at this video. You'll see a large group of people with dozens of officers and multiple ambulances nearby. This is near Maypole and Hamlin. Police say at 1:25 this morning, a 17-year-old girl was shot in the chest near that location. She's at the hospital in critical condition at last check. Then at 1:34, just 9 minutes later, 6 more people were shot in this area. One 18-year-old woman and 5 men between 17 and 20 years old, all taken to the hospital. Thankfully, they're in good condition. Now to the south side, where there was a shooting just after midnight in Morgan Park. You can see a large response from CPD. This is on 108th Place near Ashland. Police say a 19-year-old man was walking outside near there when an unknown suspect ran up, shooting him multiple times. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Dozens of fireworks you can see going off in the street as investigators were at that scene. We're working to get more information on all of the victims we've told you about this morning. Chicago police say so far no one is in custody. Live in the newsroom, I'm Asal Razai, CBS News Chicago.
Asal, thanks for staying on top of that.
Neighbors tell me this block was filled with hundreds of people last night. It is a cul-de-sac. They tell me police were already here trying to clear the crowds before gunshots rang out.
I wouldn't even say this was a block party. Okay. This was a takeover.
Etta Johnson captured this video from her window. It shows what Maple Avenue near Garfield Park looked like on the night of July 4th.
Chaos, obstruction of living.
Johnson says a lot of the people she saw seemed underage. This video, captured by another neighbor, shows what appears to be teenagers in the crowd. One person holding what appears to be a shotgun with an orange tip. That usually signifies it's a toy or replica, not a real lethal weapon. Neighbors also capturing police trying to clear the street around 1 a.m.
The police were totally outnumbered. They were outnumbered last night.
We have a female shot.
By 1:25 in the morning, a 17-year-old girl was in critical condition after being shot in the chest on Maple Avenue, according to Chicago police. Less than 10 minutes later, they say 6 more people between 17 and 20 years old were also shot on Maple. They were all taken to hospitals in good condition.
Sad. Very sad.
We're told at one point, police began telling people to either leave or get arrested. One neighbor captured this video showing officers placing someone into custody.
My husband and my neighbor, we moved our cars because they were destroying cars over here. And if you didn't have a locked gate, they would come and sit on your porch.
3 separate neighbors told us people on this block are known to promote gatherings like this on social media.
They were here Juneteenth with the same mentality. Normally it's in August. They have some party for someone on the block. The last 3 years, we have been bombarded with this chaos.
Connie Mitchell has lived on Hamlin Boulevard for 30 years. Her doorbell camera capturing people crowded in front of her home.
If it's only getting worse, who's helping the residents who are pouring their heart and souls into this neighborhood?
She's a part of the Garfield Park Advisory Council and says she's been pushing for change in this area for years.
These kids, how can they work all night? You can give them jobs during the day. Where are they going to be at night?
The alderman and the mayor and the commander. We need help. We need serious help over here.
Neighbors tell me they're expecting more takeovers to happen here before the end of the summer. They say they're desperate for help and need city leaders to step in so there's some type of change. Reporting on the west side, I'm Asal Rezai, CBS News Chicago.
We have reached out to the mayor's office and 28th Ward Alderman Jason Irvin. We'll let you know when we get a response.
Those 7 people were actually shot in the same area. Chicago police say they were called to Hamlin in Maypole around 1:25 this morning. When they got there, they did find a 17-year-old girl who was shot in the chest. She was taken to Stroger Hospital to be treated, where she was last listed in critical condition. Now, 10 minutes later in that same area, first responders found 6 others who were also shot. Their ages range from 17 to 20 years old. Police say those people were standing outside when they were hit by gunfire. They were all taken to nearby hospitals to be treated. Now, it's still unclear what exactly led up to these shootings. Investigators have not officially connected the two, but we do know that they both took place in the same area. Now, of course, this comes as a lot of people were out and about celebrating the 4th of July when this all took place. Area 4 detectives continue to investigate this.
A violence interrupter who was on the ground before shots were fired says hundreds of people turned out for this advertised block party. A neighbor says this is a second time a group like this has gathered on the block.
Minutes before shots rang out, cell phone video captured the size of the crowd gathered near Garfield Park.
Underage kids drinking, smoking. They found guns. They saw the shooting.
They're shooting off of Maple.
Multiple shooters, West End and Maple, multiple shooters at a large gathering.
Justin Peters with violence interrupter group Chi-Town Crime Chasers says his team was on the scene alongside Chicago police before the shooting began.
We saw a lot of people started running, so we started to point the crowd in that direction to run to. Me and my team were rushing towards the gunshots to find the victims, and we have located several teenage victims shot in the alley.
Police say a 17-year-old girl was shot in the chest near Maypole and Hamlin. Minutes later, 6 more people were hit by gunfire on the same block. The victims range in age from 17 to 20. 28th Ward Alderman Jason Irvin says police detained about a dozen people. He now wants organizers held accountable.
I look forward to the police department and the city of Chicago's law department going after these individuals because, again, it is not your personal playground.
Neighbors say enforcement alone isn't enough.
Oh, the police, they're always outnumbered. But this was by far the worst. They couldn't stop them.
This is where the community must step in, parents must step in, other organizations must step in to help so we can all work together.
Alderman Brian Hopkins, chairman of the Public Safety Committee, has long argued the city needs stronger tools to prevent crowds from spiraling out of control.
The police were already there. They were on the scene at this event, and that didn't stop teenagers from taking guns out and shooting each other, even having the presence of visible squad cars right there. Incidents like this just highlight even more the need for a good, effective police response. They need every tool that we can give them, including enforcing curfew.
Last we heard, the 17-year-old girl who was shot in the chest remained in critical condition. No word yet if charges have been filed. Detectives are still investigating what led up to these shootings.
7 people were injured in 2 separate shootings at the same location in Garfield Park overnight, just minutes apart. Bryant McCray is live at Chicago Police Headquarters with the latest. Hi, good morning, Bryant.
Well, yeah, good morning, Joel. This incident happening around 1:30 this morning in the 3800 block of West Maple. Police say the most seriously hurt a 17-year-old girl. Police say she was struck in the chest. She is said to be in critical condition at Schroeder Hospital. Now, the other 6 victims range in age from 17 to 20 years old, all listed in good condition at Schroeder and Mount Sinai. Among them, a 17-year-old boy was shot twice in the neck and a 20-year-old man struck multiple times in the body. Now, of course, this is all happening on the backdrop of America's birthday. Area 4 detectives are now investigating. Now, no arrests have been made. And of course, we will continue to follow this story as more information comes into our newsroom. But of course, sources tell us this is all happening as a result of a teen takeover. We're still working with the Chicago Police Department to figure out more information about this story. And when we get more information, we'll be sure to bring it to you both on air and online. For now, reporting live at the Chicago Police Department headquarters, Bryant McCray, WGN News.
All right, Brian.
Large crowds in Garfield Park turned violent on the 4th of July weekend as neighbors say repeated calls were made to police as the gathering was getting out of control. Now several teens are injured. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Bang. WGN's Andrea Medina has the latest. Andrea.
Hi, Jackie. It's still unclear what triggered the shootings, but neighbors say they started sounding the alarm when they saw more people arriving long before things escalated into gunfire. Cell phone video capturing a growing crowd in Garfield Park on Saturday as neighbors made repeated calls to police, fearing the 4th of July gathering was heading in the wrong direction.
10:52, I made my first call to the police, and I texted my neighbor next door and I let her know I think they're beginning to gather.
Trinissa Williams says this wasn't the first time a large crowd had taken over her block near Maple Avenue and Hamlin Boulevard. She says a similar gathering happened on Juneteenth, but she says this one was on an entirely different scale.
Easily 3,000 to 5,000. I think they were coming in droves of like maybe 200 or 300 at a time. And I called the police each time I saw another group of 100 come down the street.
Williams says the night quickly became overwhelming with trash left behind, people jumping on cars, and little respect shown for the neighborhood. Then just before 1:30 Sunday morning, the gunfire she had feared rang out. Chicago police say a 17-year-old girl was standing outside when she was shot in the chest. She was rushed to Schroeder Hospital in critical condition.
Yeah, I actually saw her be carried away by the police after she was shot. And that's not a situation that you want to see your child in, as far as I know. And so I just wish parents would care a little bit more about them.
Then before the neighborhood could even process the first shooting, more gunfire just 9 minutes later on the same block. Police say 6 more people between 17 and 20 years old were hit by gunfire as they were standing outside. A teenage boy was shot twice in the neck. An 8-year-old woman struck in the backside and arm. 4 others were hit in the leg and foot. Williams says she and other neighbors want parents to take a closer look at what their teens were doing late at night, asking why so many were in the middle of the street at that hour. She's calling for greater accountability at home and for young people to make better choices before another gathering turns violent.
Don't go into someone else's space and cause destruction or disruption. And, and we're not saying you're horrible parents, but you should want to know where your children are.
Now, police have not said if the 2 shootings are connected, and so far, no arrests have been made. We're live outside CPD headquarters. Andrea Medina on WGN News.
Pointed in the individuals who put this out on social media, which continues to be a problem, not just on the west side of Chicago, but across the city.
A pair of shootings at a large gathering on the west side leaves 7 injured, many of them teenagers. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jackie Bang. Andrea Medina is live at police headquarters with the latest. Andrea.
Hi, Jackie. It's still unclear what triggered the shootings, but neighbors say this is the second time in less than a month that large gatherings have taken over their block, leaving them frustrated over the disruption and loss of peace.
You couldn't tell fireworks from gunshots at one point, but we start seeing the kids running.
We knew something happened when they started running.
Cell phone video capturing the chaos, gunshots blending with fireworks as a growing crowd took over a residential block in Garfield Park Saturday night. Neighbors say repeated calls were made to CPD fearing a 4th of July gathering was heading in the wrong direction.
10:52, I made my first call to the police, and I texted my neighbor next door and I let her know I think they're beginning to gather.
Trinissa Williams says this wasn't the first time a large crowd had taken over her block near Maple Avenue and Hamlin Boulevard. She says a similar gathering happened on Juneteenth, but she says this one was on an entirely different scale.
Easily 3,000 to 5,000. I think they were coming in droves of like maybe 200 or 300 at a time. And I called the police each time I saw another group of 100 come down the street.
They had gallon bottles or big bottles of alcohol, cups in their hand. They're smoking on whatever they're smoking, which smells like you don't know what. And they're hanging out and cursing and getting on cars.
Connie Mitchell and Williams say the night quickly became overwhelming with little respect shown for the neighborhood. They say police did respond but were outnumbered as the crowd grew. They add it wasn't just teens but a mix of multiple age groups and say even the safety of their home offered no escape from the commotion.
And when you open your door and say, please get off my property, get off my gate, get off that car, oh, you're talked to like you're less than human.
Then, just before 1:30 Sunday morning, the gunfire neighbors had feared erupted. Chicago police say a 17-year-old girl was standing outside when she was shot in the chest. She was rushed to Stroger Hospital in critical condition. Then, before the neighborhood could even process the first shooting, there was more gunfire just 9 minutes later on the same block. Police say 6 more people between 17 and 20 years old were hit by gunfire as they were standing outside. A teenage boy was shot twice in the neck. An 18-year-old woman was struck in the backside and arm. 4 others were hit in the leg and foot.
People creating these large gatherings, not truly understanding or knowing or caring about the consequences of what happens. To get 7 people shot at an incident like that, is reprehensible. And I think we ought to hold people that put these events on accountable.
Neighbors say they agree with the 28th Ward alderman calling for stronger accountability at home, urging parents to be more aware of their teens' whereabouts, and saying people of all ages need to make better choices before another gathering turns violent.
Don't go into someone else's space and cause destruction or disruption.
Now, police have not said if the 2 shootings are connected, and so far, no arrests have been made. We're live outside CPD headquarters. Andrea Medina, WGN News.
A 33-year-old man is dead, shot multiple times in West Garfield Park. Police say they found the man on the sidewalk near Van Buren and Kildare around 1:45 this morning. He was taken to Stroger Hospital in critical condition before he died there. Police are investigating what happened. No one is in custody.
A 10-year-old boy is killed and at least 7 others are wounded in a pair of shootings in Gary overnight. Gary police responded to a report of shots fired near 19th and Hanley Street at 12:30 this morning. On their way, officers were told that 6 people with gunshot wounds had arrived at Methodist Northlake Hospital. No word on their condition. About 15 minutes later, and just 4 miles away, a 10-year-old child was shot and killed near 2nd and Chase. At that same location, a 50-year-old man was also hit. He's in critical condition. No one is in custody for either shooting.